Hello, Dr. Vander. My name is Robert VanWijmeren, and I performed my ministry event just outside the Thompson Bowling Arena here in Knoxville, Tennessee. And it just so happened to be that there was a Christian singer by the name of Lauren Daigle who performed at 7:30 that night. So I elected to accomplish my ministry event between 3 p.m. and 7:45 p.m., which is a total about 4 hours and 45 minutes. The date of this event was Friday, 28 February, and her concert started at 7:30. The targeted audience were those who attended the concert, and because I anticipated the majority of the audience being Christian, I elected to meet them in line so that I could ask them if they were in need of prayers, and then I would ask them how their relationship with Christ was. And of course, I would explain the gospel and try to invite them to come to Christ if necessary, and also try to help them find a church or give them some guidance on discipleship. Now, this ministry event was 26 miles from my home, and the weather included rain as well as the temperatures being in the upper 30s. I originally intended to bring balloons. However, the wind blowing at 10 miles per hour prevented me from using that as a way to promote this ministry event. Despite the windy day, I was able to produce a sign that offered prayers and other Christian assistance. Although there was a lot of people that saw my sign, they were frantic to get into the arena in order to get warm because it was so cold. I would say that 90% of those who attended the concert were female, and they didn't dress warm for the weather. So they dressed nice and wanted to get inside. Now, I was able to successfully interact with 3 children and their parents. And of course, they were all sporadic times. And the first child was with her parents, and the little child requested that she pray for her gymnastics friend, and so in order for her to be healed because her leg was in a cast. Now, there was a second girl who came to me, and she had Down syndrome, and she asked me that I pray that, that we prayed that God would help her lose weight. And the last girl, right around 7:30 at night, the last girl explained that her mother overdosed from drugs, and she wanted God to help intercede for her mom so that way she could be free. The cool thing is, with all 3 of these children, we all held hands together with the parents there, and we intercede for God's help in each one of those. While there was progress made with the little children, no one above 14 years of age really asked me for any prayer or interacted with me really that much. The very little interaction that I did receive were some older women who complimented me for being outside and trying to talk to people. Some things that I could have done differently, I could have spoke out in public and kind of just been an open voice instead and let the sign speak for itself, and ask people if they wanted prayer. I could have definitely brought my chair along with me because I was standing in the cold the whole time. So 4 hours and 45 minutes was a very long time to stand with a sign. But it was a good thing that I brought my gloves and 2 jackets and an extra pair of socks. I definitely could have invited somebody to go with me, especially like a female counterpart, because the audience, which I didn't anticipate, was 90% female. And having a female presence there could have perhaps kind of allowed more females to ask for a prayer because I was a male. And lastly, I could have chosen an indoor event in which I could have set up a table and handed out some gospel tracts. Unfortunately, I didn't bring them with me in this scenario because I was outside and the wind was blowing pretty hard, and it was a long distance from the parking arena. In closing, I would have to say that God was able to use me to pray for these three children who were bold enough to believe in the power of prayer and that needed God to intercede on their behalfs and their friends' behalf. It was truly a blessing to meet my sisters in Christ. In Matthew 25:40, Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did it for me."